In the village of Ravenscroft, nestled among the misty hills of the Old Kingdom, there lived a merchant named Edmund Hale. His first wife had died in the harsh grip of winter, leaving behind 2 young daughters, Elena and Mira. Hard times befell the family, and to secure their future, Edmund married again. He entrusted his children to the care of their stepmother, Lady Margaret. With a heavy heart, he rode off to trade in the distant city of Eldoria, promising to return when fortune smiled upon him. 3 long winters came and went, each colder than the last. At last, the winding road brought Edmund home, his cart laden with silks and spices from far-off markets. As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows over the thatched roofs, Lady Margaret summoned Elena and Mira to the hearth of their woodland cottage. "Listen well, you idle girls," she hissed, her eyes sharp as thorns. "Your father returns at dusk. Every task must be finished. The floors scrubbed, the fire kindled, the bread baked. Whatever is left undone will cost you dearly. Mark my words." The sisters bowed their heads, their small hands calloused from endless chores. Elena, the elder, spoke softly, her voice steady, despite the hunger gnawing at her belly. "We'll finish everything, stepmother. Only don't strike us today, and give us a morsel of bread. Since yesterday, we've tasted nothing but dry crusts from the bin." Lady Margaret narrowed her eyes, her lips curling into a sneer. "Food at sunset. Few earn it. But speak no word of this to your father, or you'll not sleep beneath this roof again. The village already whispers of my cruelty. Let them see how you twist the truth." Just then, the clatter of wheels echoed outside, stirring the dust on the path. Lady Margaret smoothed her apron and hurried to the gate, her face transforming into a mask of weary affection. Edmund stepped down from his cart, his cloak dusted with the road's grime, his eyes searching the yard. "How fare you, wife?" he asked, embracing her briefly. "And where are my daughters? I've dreamed of their faces these long years." Lady Margaret sighed dramatically, dabbing at her eyes with the hem of her sleeve. "The moment you arrive, you ask for them. I've become the servant of this house, Edmund. Your girls roam the lanes from dawn to dusk, wild as forest creatures. Their tongues are sharp. They refuse every counsel I offer, and they mock me behind my back." Edmund's brow furrowed, his joy dimming like the fading light. "Sharp tongues? I left them in your care, to be raised with kindness. They don't call me mother," she continued, her voice trembling with feigned hurt. "They lie about their chores. And worse, they've learned to steal a silver spoon from the cupboard, gone last week. When I try to correct them, the village whispers that a stepmother is always cruel. Judge for yourself, husband." Edmund stood still, his hand tightening on his staff. "Steal? My daughters? This can't be. See with your own eyes," she urged, guiding him inside. "They defy me at every turn." Edmund raised his hand for silence, his face hardening like stone. "Enough. I'll judge with my own ears and eyes." They walked on in silence, the forest swallowing their words like secrets buried deep beneath moss and root. Inside the cottage, Edmund's stride grew shorter, sharper, his patience fraying like old thread. "Where are they? 3 years absent, and I return to an empty hearth? This isn't the homecoming I imagined." Lady Margaret watched from the doorway, arms folded. "Patience, husband. They roam at will, just as I told you, disobedient to the core." The lowing of the cow and the soft thud of hooves announced their arrival. The girls stepped into the yard, grass spilling from their arms, twigs tangled in their windswept hair like crowns of the wild. Edmund stepped forward, his voice stern, but laced with longing. "Where were you, my daughters?" Night falls swiftly. Elena lowered her gaze. "We took the cow to graze in the meadow, father. The grass is sweeter there, and she gives more milk." For the household. Lady Margaret's laugh cracked, like a dry branch underfoot. Grazed? I forbade the forest edges. Too dangerous with wolves and wanderers. They disobeyed me outright. Mira's small voice shook, but she stood tall. Father, we never leave without leave. Ask the path. It knows our steps, worn smooth from our daily toil. Edmund lifted his hand, and the air stilled, like a held breath. Enough quarreling. To your room, girls. Dawn we ride. Your Aunt Elena waits. In the Eastern manor, with her warm hearth and gentle ways, you'll see the world beyond this roof, and perhaps find peace there. Elena's eyes kindled, with a spark of hope. Truly, father? Truly, he replied, his tone softening, as he looked upon their thin faces. It's time for change. The sisters clasped hands, fingers intertwining like vines. Night gathered around the cottage, but a thin star hung above, steady as a promise kept. Lady Margaret sat alone in the dusk, the candle guttering beside her. On the rough-hewn table, doubt has entered him, she whispered to the shadows. Like mosquitoes in summer, his suspicions buzzed too loudly. For my comfort, before sunrise, I must weave a new tale, or I'll lose my place at his hearth, and all the comforts it brings. She did not sleep that night, her mind spinning plots, like a spider's web. First light, Elena and Mira, dressed in their cleanest aprons, faded but mended with care, tiptoed past the shut bedchamber door. Edmund met them in the yard, a bundle of new-woven cloth, tucked beneath his arm. We won't wake her, he said quietly. These garments are for your aunt's house. Come, the horses are saddled. Mira glanced back at the cottage, its chimney smoking faintly. Will you stay with us there, father? Or must we go alone? A few days, perhaps, he answered, helping them mount. The road is long. Silence serves us better than speech for now. Let's leave this shadow behind. They departed Ravenscroft, while the mist still clung to the hedgerows, veiling the world in soft gray. Yet the path bent not toward the Eastern manor, with its rolling fields and stone walls, but deeper into the twisting depths of Blackwood Forest. The trees grew denser, their branches arching overhead, like a cathedral of leaves. Elena slowed her horse, her brow creasing. Father, Aunt Elena dwells beyond the millstream, in the open valleys. These turnings lead only to Wildwood, where paths vanish, and legends whisper of lost souls. Edmund smiled, but it was a thin, strained movement of his lips, lacking the warmth of old. Trust the one who walks beside you, my child. See how the briars bend beneath their dark berries. Blackberries ripe and heavy. Gather me a lapful. I'm weary from the night's unrest, and would rest beneath that ancient oak. Don't return until I call for you. Mira's eyes questioned him, wide and innocent, but she bent to the task. Alongside her sister, berries dropped softly into their aprons, juicy and stained with purple, like beads from a broken necklace. The sun climbed higher, then slid westward, casting golden shafts through the canopy. When their baskets brimmed heavy, they paused and listened. From the thicket, a cracked voice called out, "Daughters, your father waits." Again the call came, oddly shrill, like the cry of a bird mimicking human speech. They picked onward, following the sound, through tangles of underbrush. A last berry fell into place. The voice ceased abruptly. Twilight pooled between the trunks, turning the forest into a maze of indigo shadows. Something is wrong, Mira breathed, her heart pounding. They ran back, branches whipping at their faces. Beneath the oak sat only a sly raven, its black feathers glistening. Edmund's hat perched crookedly upon its head. An empty apple core dangled from its beak, half-pecked and discarded. The creature cocked its head and croaked the very words they had trusted, its voice an eerie echo. The cloth bundle lay untouched beside the tree. Their father was nowhere to be seen. Elena's fingers loosened in shock. Berries spilled like drops of dark blood onto the mossy ground. Mira's tears fell upon them, mingling with the juice. The village tales were true, she whispered, her voice breaking. He brought us here to be rid of us, swayed by her poison words. The wind answered with a mournful sigh, carrying the far-off scent of smoke from a hearth they would never warm themselves by again. Night stepped forward, and the forest closed its quiet mouth around them, swallowing their cries. Elena drew a steady breath, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. Mira, tears won't open a path through these trees. We must help ourselves now. Come, before the last light fades entirely. Let's find shelter for the night, lest the wolves find us first. They walked onward, the forest hushing their footfalls, with layers of fallen leaves, until a thin curl of smoke guided them to a low abandoned hut, hidden in a clearing. A clay hearth glowed faintly outside, embers winking like distant stars. Inside, only silence greeted them. Mira hung back, clutching her sister's arm. To enter unbidden may invite worse trouble, thieves or spirits, as the old songs warn. To remain beneath the claws of wolves, or the chill of night is worse. Elena replied resolutely. She pushed the wicker door open. With a creak, the single room stood empty, a heap of fresh fern for a bed, a scatter of cold ash in the hearth. They thanked the unknown owner in whispered prayers, and laid their weary bodies upon the bracken, huddling together for warmth. Sleep came fitfully, haunted by dreams of lost paths and echoing calls. So the seasons turned, like the pages of an ancient book. At dawn, they gathered forest fruits, blackberries, wild apples, and nuts hidden in the undergrowth. At noon, they ventured to the distant market, their faces hidden under hoods, woven from bark cloth and vines, selling what they could to buy scraps of cloth or a bit of cheese. By twilight, they returned home, two shadows tending a single candle, made from beeswax scavenged from wild hives. Years passed like drifting leaves. The girls blossomed into women, tall and graceful as moonlit birches, their bond unbreakable. Amid the hardships, they learned the forest's secrets, the safe path, the healing herbs, the streams that sang of hidden springs. Elena taught Mira to weave baskets and snares, while Mira's keen eyes spotted the ripest fruits and the signs of approaching storms. One crisp morning, Mira slung a basket on her arm, her cheeks flushed with the autumn air. I'll go farther today. For the late berries, they fetch a higher price at market, enough for a new cloak against the winter. Elena tied her own veil, adjusting the hood to shadow her features. And I must sell the last of our honey, gathered from the meadow hives. Wait. Let's walk together, as we always do. Mira's smile wavered slightly, a shadow crossing her face. When I return and you're gone, the hut is darker than the deepest forest glade. Promise me, sister. If ever you must leave without a word, leave a sign I can read, a trail to follow. Elena pressed her forehead to her sister's, their breaths mingling. Should the trees ever part us, I'll scatter breadcrumbs along my path, like in the old tales, a winding trail to lead you back to me, no matter how far. They parted at the crosspath, where the trail split, like a fork in a river. That same dawn, King Aldrich rode into Blackwood, with his loyal companion, Lord Rowan, at his side. All day they hunted through the dappled woods, bows at the ready, but only a single hare broke cover, darting through the bracken. Rowan's arrow brought it down cleanly, beside a thicket of thorns. Your Majesty, we need fire to dress it properly, Rowan said, scanning the gloom for signs of life. Smoke rose thinly beyond the next rise, curling like a beckoning finger. They followed it, and found the hut, outside which a maiden stirred a pot of wild herbs, over a low flame. Her hood had slipped back slightly. The king caught sight of a face, like morning light on fresh snow, framed by a braid the color of autumn flames. He checked his horse abruptly, and sat wordless, the dead hair forgotten across his saddle, his heart stirred by an unexpected wonder. Mira spun round, ladle raised like a scepter of iron, her eyes fierce. "Stand where you are," she said, her voice low and steady as a drawn bowstring. "Another step, and I split the day in two with this." Lord Rowan lifted his empty palms in a gesture of peace. "No harm intended, fair maiden. I carry a hair for the king's table, and need only a coal from your fire to roast it. Then cook it swiftly, and be gone before the spit turns twice," she replied, stepping aside warily. Rowan set the gutted hair across her fire, turning it with care. But his gaze strayed repeatedly to her face, to the flame-colored braid that fell across her shoulder, like a cascade of firelight. The fat dripped, hissed, and flared. The meat began to blacken at the edges, but still he stared, entranced. A sharp crackle of burning bone snapped him from his reverie. The hair had turned to cinder, inedible and charred. Mira's eyes flashed with irritation. "Your supper is now charcoal, stranger. Take it and leave, unless you wish to join it in the flames." Rowan snatched the skewer, backing away into the ferns, with a sheepish grin. "Mercy, the king will have my head for this hunger pang." From the shadow of a towering elm, King Aldrich appeared, drawn by the acrid smell of ruin, and his companion's flustered voice. "One hair, Rowan, or a feast? My belly drums louder than your excuses." Rowan dropped to one knee, bowing his head. "Sire, forgive me. Yonder maiden turned the world sideways. With her beauty, I forgot the fire entirely." Aldrich followed the tilt of Rowan's gaze. There stood Mira, ladle still lifted defiantly, her cheeks bright with wrath, and the glow of the embers. The king forgot speech, his royal composure slipping like a mask. Rowan ventured softly, "A third queen perhaps, my lord? The court grows lonely without such light." Aldrich closed his open mouth, regaining his poise. "Queens ride in litters of gold, not like hunted deer in the wilds. Tomorrow we return with silk and silver, to court her properly. Tonight we leave her as we found her, mistress of her own clearing, untouched by our intrusion." They withdrew, their boots silent on the mossy ground. Behind them, the hut breathed wood smoke into the evening air. Inside, Elena stirred from her rest, unaware that crowns had paused at their humble threshold, and departed only for the sake of ceremony and honor. Elena had not sensed the silent watchers, hidden in the trees. At sunrise, the sisters spoke of the encounter, like a curious jest, over their morning porridge. "A madman with a hair." Elena laughed lightly. "He let it burn to ash, for staring at you, as if you were a vision from the fairy realms." Mira slung her basket over her shoulder, shaking her head with a smile. "I'll go for more fruit today. Bar the door till I return, sister." The hoofbeats came an hour later, steady metallic, unmistakably royal, echoing through the forest like distant thunder. Elena stepped out cautiously, and beheld a procession of scarlet and gold, halted before the hut, banners fluttering in the breeze. Lord Rowan dismounted with grace, his armor gleaming. "I speak for King Aldrich of Eldoria," he announced, his voice carrying the weight of the throne. "He asks your hand in marriage, fair maiden. Will you consent to be his queen?" The words rang like bells in an empty tower, echoing in Elena's astonished heart. The child once discarded in the forest, like unwanted chaff, was now chosen by a crown, her worth seen at last. Tears glittered in her eyes, but her answer flew swift and true. "I consent." As she walked toward the procession, she caught up a handful of breadcrumbs from the hut's larder, crumbs from their morning bread, and scattered them discreetly behind her, a pale winding trail, across the moss and roots, vanishing into the underbrush. When Mira returned at dusk, her basket heavy with berries, the hut was hollow and silent. She called out. Only the wind replied with a lonely moan. 2 days she waited, sleeping on the bare bench by the cold hearth, while rain drummed relentlessly on the roof, turning the ground to mud. On the third morning, small birds had gathered along the path, pecking at the softened breadcrumbs that formed a faint living thread. Leading eastward, Mira pressed her palms together in gratitude. "You left me a road of crumbs, sister." As promised, she followed the fragile trail, careful not to disturb the birds that marked its way, until it ended at grand marble steps and brazen gates of a towering palace. Guards looked down in wonder at the maiden emerging from the forest, petals and leaves caught in her hair, crumbs dusting her path like fallen stars. Within the palace halls, Elena waited, her new crown bright upon her brow, yet her heart yearning for her sister. They embraced before the assembled court, tears falling upon velvet carpets, like rain on parched earth. That same day, Elena called the king aside, into a sunlit chamber. "My lord, give this loyal heart a husband worthy of her," she said, placing Mira's hand gently into Lord Rowan's. Thus the sisters, once thrown away like weeds in the wild, became the two brightest lilies in the garden of the throne. The breadcrumb trail, though faded, was remembered in songs and tapestries, a promise etched in the kingdom's lore, that no child of theirs would ever walk alone, lost in the shadows of neglect. And in the years that followed, the forest whispered their tale to the winds, a reminder that even the darkest paths can lead to light.